Well, it looks like Exo Sister is really aiming to be a top contender. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more. There have been a lot of interesting regionals out here, and I think that this one was one of the more interesting ones that we've seen turn over, because this really showcases, like, Rogue can do well in these smaller events. You know, some of these end up being, like, glorified locals, but that's honestly neither here nor there in terms of participation. Now, winning our event was actually Rizel on a Monamat, which is okay to see. I mean, in smaller events like this, where Rizel can kind of just run things over a little bit more unrestricted, I can kind of understand why this deck can actually do well. Now, the coolest reason why I wanted to cover this regional was we actually had Exo Sister entering into the arena here and actually doing some interesting things. And I mean, I say that, but like, there's still, you know, other interesting decks in this event besides Exo Sister. We did have a Dracotail Magistus variant, which, wow, they got away with playing all the bricks. I'm proud of them. We also have Magnet Warriors doing very, very strongly with the Fiendsmith package, which has become a little bit more of a norm at this point. We've also got the Unbridled Power of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Oh boy. We also had DDD. Once again, DDD has really been shocking me with how this deck has just been challenging the meta. I don't think players really acknowledge DDD right now as a real meta deck, but at these regionals has been doing pretty good. We also had Radiant Typhoon as a one-of. This has been a pretty normal scenario where you can actually still see Radiant Typhoon doing well. And of course, we had Sky Striker leaping into action as well. Now, I mean, we are going to be seeing some real differences in Sky Striker here in a couple weeks, where this deck is going to get an entire new armament of toys, and I think that's going to be a pretty exciting thing to see. So this regional really stacked with lots of interesting ideas. Now, our Monamat Rizel list was by Brad McLean here. You're going to get the opportunity to see we were playing Astral Karibo. Now, this is actually kind of cool to see Astral Karibo being a choice that is being made for these lists, because let's call it what it is. Being able to deploy this and have it be another level 4 actually is kind of nice. You also do get the added benefit of the destroyed monster, or the monster that has his material can be destroyed by battle or card effects. And of course, you do see we have Crooked Cook down here, which, by the way, Crooked Cook not being able to be destroyed by battle or card effects, and, you know, if you just happen to leave him on the field, you effectively have one of the dirtiest things that you can do in competitive play, which just puts an incredibly broken boss monster on the field with really no way for the opponent to be able to answer this, which, you know, is not exactly one of my top 5 favorite things to see in this game, but it's definitely interesting to say the least. Next up, we have Exo Sister by David. This is pretty standard Exo Sister stuff. Like I said, the reason why I wanted to cover this is we've not seen a lot of exciting Exo Sister stuff lately. We're in a meta right now where, you know, this deck needs the opponent to do a little bit with their graveyard. Obviously, we have cards that can force the opponent to interact with their graveyard so that we can at least get one added benefit off of it, but it doesn't, one time is not all of the time. So once again, I mean, you're playing a deck that would like to be a little bit more dependent on its matchups, which can be fine. I do see we are playing one Aratama. Of course, you have the triple of the additional spirit to be able to extend into with the deck, which is fine. The rest of the extra deck is all pretty standard rank 4 and standard toolbox options. I do see we're also playing the Thunder King down here in the side deck. Thunder King has been popping up a lot in these decks as a one-of. He's kind of been like a recurring trend, because, I mean, realistically, you do slap this on the field, your opponent's probably not going to have a good time. And I think that level of recurability, or stopping that recurability, rather, is pretty decent in terms of discussion point to have. So I do like mentioning that. And of course, you know, Dimensional Fissure is just a stupid card all the way around. So Exo Sister's definitely got some tricks up its sleeve for the meta here. Next up is Magnet Warriors by Zach. Now, Magnet Warriors, if you've noticed, a lot more of these builds have been going to the Duo Tyrion good stuff. And I don't really blame people for this, because Duotyrion searching for magnet bonding, check. All right, my deck is now much more consistent than it additionally was, which is fine. What I do find interesting here is, well, first of all, we have the fossil deck to go with this, which is cool. But also we're doing triple incredible Ecclesia and the Fallen of the White. I see that we're looking to get Fallen and Virtuous into rotation. This just kind of also proves, you know, kind of how stupid that this card can be over time. Like, genuinely, I think this is probably one of the most broken Yu-Gi-Oh cards that we've got in current rotation right now, because it does so much stupidness along the way. So definitely interesting, and also the Quackimera Guardians to actually help us out. So standard good stuff is good. Next up is David's Blue Eyes White Dragon. Ah, frickin' yes! Somebody's playing Lunar Rabbit. This was the card that I tested a very long time ago, and I thought this thing was the coolest thing, but I eventually ended up cutting it. So to see that somebody is back on trying to play this card, beautiful, man. I also like this because it was, in fact, a spellcaster level 1. So it would be a monster you could technically additional normal summon to be able to work. And I really do love this card. It is such a good card for Blue Eyes. Now, obviously, you know, we're doing Primite shenanigans in here. The goal is to, you know, rely on the Primite stuff as a form of interruption to be able to kind of control the opponent. And this deck does it decently well, and it will always continue to be able to use those interactions to kind of do its thing. I see we're going triple Spirit Dragon, 2 of these Blue Eyes big ultimate Spirit Dragon. This is kind of a little bit of a change of pace. Most of the modern list I remember, we're only trying to play like 1 of these. I also see we're doing Crimson Dragon into the Cosmic Blazar. This is understandable. I did like the other former dragon that we had the chance to play bouncing off of this, but you know, times have kind of changed when you're looking at these variations, and, you know, you kind of have to consider, you know, where we're at within the meta and make those existing calls with what you got. But while Blue Eyes does remain a little bit more of a standard powerhouse deck in the meta, at least for the time being, you know, we'll have to wait and see how the Overframe collection is going to change this in the OCG, because my fingers are crossed that Blue Eyes will have the chance to evolve into a much stronger powerhouse monster over time. But once again, we're going to have to take a little bit of a step back here and see where that time is going to go for sure. Next up is Orlando's D deck. And quite honestly, this deck is one of the most annoying decks in the room that you can deal with. Just because, like, when it initially gets its set up and it just kind of terrorizes people. I do see that we are playing the Dark Spirits Mastery as the Searcher. This is something that a few people have kind of bounced back and forth on. I don't hate the idea of having access to this. I think it does help out some of the deck's problems. Also got Denko Rekka in the side deck, yeah. Being able to call up Denko and get things done is pretty good. Definitely is some of the more problematic stuff we've seen. We've also got the extra Dark Spirits Mastery down in the side deck going into Gilgamesh, because, you know, your extra deck's a lot tighter than it formerly used to be. So we're not looking too bad here. Next up is some Radiant Typhoon by Austin. Radiant Typhoon, honestly, you know, there's no Pot of Extrav in here. I did notice we were kind of having a little bit back and forth recently with people wanting to play Extrav in their list. I don't know if it's just like a meta thing bouncing back and forth, if the texts and times have kind of changed up, you know, where we're going with that. I'm not exactly too sure, but I have found that a little bit interesting as time has gone on, that, you know, we're seeing that back and forth. Now, ratios look good in this. You know, you've got the triple copies of the Storm Deities, triple Misty, you have the Super Polys in the main deck, you have Lava Golems in the side for board breaking, you have the Crowns to kind of lock your monster down to make sure that nothing's going to happen. I think everything that this list is doing is looking pretty decent, to say the least. And our last list here is Sky Striker by Cody. Striker definitely has been revitalized recently. The deck is looking pretty decent. I see we're playing the Synchro down here as a one-of to be able to use off of the Fallen and Virtuous, which is good. Going with triple upstart, you know, hey, Dual Lockbird's a 2. You may as well take advantage of playing all the good cards you can. Going with 2 Luminous Gate. I've heard some arguments for like 1 Luminous Gate, but still, I'm choosing to play the 2 because I feel like it's a much more consistent thing. So I can agree with this. Outside of that, I mean, This looks good. I don't see anything wrong here. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about this chunk of decks. And you guys have a good rest of your day. All right, peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.